Howdy, everybody. Welcome into The Hop, your favorite craft beer podcast, making craft beer fun, inclusive, informative, and entertaining each and every week. My name is Stephen Humes, and I am here with my esteemed co-host, Gabriel Apria.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us on another great, amazing, wonderful, thirsty Thursday. Let's celebrate how hot it is on the East Coast and go to Vermont, shall we? They have snow, right? Not all year long, but right now, snow would honestly be wonderful. I can't believe I'm saying that. I really want it. It's hot as hell. So we're going to Vermont today. Come with us.
However hot you think it is, I promise you, it is hotter on the West Coast. You know, in Phoenix, it's 110 all week.
Okay, I'll stop talking now.
110, dude.
That's
110.
Bad. That's a seizure waiting to happen.
That's a critical condition. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna park it up in the north east where it tends to snow or rain. We're going back to Vermont. Zero Gravity Brewery. This is a brewery that has been on my radar for a long time. I've visited, I've drank it, I've experienced it, have a lot of roots in Burlington, Vermont. So it's kind of amazing that it's taken this long to get them on the show. But it's an exciting one, and we're going to give you a sort of a full, well-rounded view of what they have to offer. We are very excited about it.
I feel like this one was a little too easy because it is Burlington, Vermont, and they're known for this brewery, that brewery, this brewery, that brewery. So to put a Burlington, Vermont beer on the show, it's like, yeah, like anyone can do that, but can you do a place from like Oklahoma? Like,
Yeah.
But
we've had a number of Burlington beers on the show over the years, but somehow Zero Gravity hasn't made it. But finally, today is their day, and we are excited to get into it. So we're going to dive in shortly. Light news to get to, Can Arts and Crafts, last call, all the fun stuff that you're looking for. So, pop open a beer, sit down, and join us for the next hour of fun and entertainment.
And if you can, float with us. Zero Gravity.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take flight. You can find the show on Instagram, Twitter. We are at the HO Podcast. Hey, you know what? We might be on Threads very shortly. Check us out over there. You can find us on YouTube as a video product. If you want to watch the show, we are available to view each and every week. And first of all, we're beautiful people to look at. So that's good for you. And you get to see the beer. You get to see the brewery. You get to see, a visual representation of what we're talking about. So just go to YouTube, find The Hop, a craft beer podcast. When you found us, subscribe, click the bell so that you get notified each and every week when an episode goes live. If you have suggestions or requests or comments or feedback or anything of that nature for us, we love to hear it. And you can reach us at thehopod@gmail.com. That is an inbox that is regularly monitored, and you can reach out to us with anything. If you request a beer on the show, we will do our very best to make it happen. And finally, most importantly, you are our greatest marketing tool. Please tell your family, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your neighbors, tell everyone about The Hop. Let them know that this is how you enjoy spending your time, because if you spread the word, you will help grow our Hop community. Rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. We really appreciate it. And hey, thank you.
Thank you so much. We love you all. Let us know what breweries to hit up next. Let us know what breweries to repeat. If you are going to tell your enemies about this podcast, my suggestion, take it for what you will, but my suggestion would be maybe do it like from a distance, because if you get too close, then they'll see an opportunity to attack. It's like a whole thing. I don't know how close you guys are. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer to your podcasts. I don't know. You do you. We're here for you.
And with that, we are going to dive into the news.
Beer news.
Not a whole lot to discuss this week. It's a pretty light week in news. You know what? We're all coming off of a holiday. We've had a lot going on. Everybody's getting back to work, getting into the feel of things. So things are moving slowly.
Eardrums are getting back to normal after listening to fireworks being shot in their faces. It's like a whole thing.
Until 2 or 3 in the morning. But we have some light things we can discuss. Funky Town. Funky Town Brewery has won the 12th annual Samuel Adams Brewing Company's, they call it the American Dream Brewing and Business Experience Ship. And this year it went to Funky Town Brewery, which is a Hop alumnus, which is really cool to see. This experience ship, as they call it, is an annual program. It invites craft brewers nationwide. They can apply, and basically they get access to, if they win, the brewing and business resources that are at Samuel Adams, obviously one of the biggest breweries in the country. They get access to founder and brewer Jim Koch, and one lucky brewer, that in this case is Funky Town, is selected to become the winner, work side by side with them, collaborate on a beer, travel to the Gabe. That's the Great American Craft Beer Festival alongside Samuel Adams. So this year that's happening to Funky Town. Funky Town is an awesome craft brewery out of Illinois, Chicago area, I believe, and we had them on round 114.
Chicago. They had awesome beers. They had an awesome story. We were very excited to be able to feature them. We're so excited that they won. I love Sam Adams. I know, depending on who you ask, is it craft? Is it not? Big corporation, yada, yada, yada. I get it. But I've always had a love for Sam Adams, and I love that they do things like this. So this is fun, and hopefully, not that they really need it, but it'll give Funky Town even more of recognition and a higher platform, so they can make more beers.
Yeah, and it really is an awesome brewery, black-owned brewery, worth saying that, and one of the few. So really excited to see them get this experience and hope that it helps grow their business going forward.
Hell yeah.
Diageo and Diddy. Boy. Yeah, they've parted ways.
We all saw this coming. This was a story we had talked about last episode where I pronounced his tequila wrong. Sir Diddy, I'd like to apologize. It is De Leon, and I apologize for my De Leon comments. I was very ignorant, but they officially parted ways. As you may or may not remember, Diddy mentioned how Diageo had made some kind of racial comments and racial decisions in terms of not kind of marketing his products as much as others. There was a horrible, horrible, bone-chilling quote that we're not going to read again. But we are hoping that Diageo can clean it up, as we say. And, Diddy, look, man, you're good. Don't worry about them.
Yeah, I mean, long story short here, it was just worth mentioning that they had the pairing have officially split up, and so that's sort of a final word on the story we reported a few weeks ago. So
here's the one thing I don't love about the article. The headline sentence. Sean Diddy Combs' signature album may be No Way Out, but Diageo apparently didn't get the message. Okay, guys.
Not great.
Not great.
Not the moment. Not the vibe. Read the room.
Read the room. Thank you.
Not what we're going for. That's, you know what? We don't need to call out that writer or that outlet, but
they live at 123. No.
Okay, moving on. The New Jersey Center of ABC, Alcohol Control. I should know what that stands for, but you know what? I forget. But basically, they are pausing enforcement of certain brewery restrictions. This is a long-standing story that we're not going to get too in the weeds on, but we've discussed it before. New Jersey has super weird laws around beer and brewing and breweries and what they can and cannot do. Things like they're not allowed to sell food or partner with food trucks, which is kind of insane. And
that's like a brewery staple. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's crazy. So the governor has not signed this legislation that would overturn these restrictions. And so while they kind of wait for that to happen, the Alcoholic Beverage Control, ABC, there we got there, of New Jersey has paused enforcement on these rules. So basically breweries can kind of operate a little bit carefree for the time being. This is just temporary for the next few months. I think the date I saw was somewhere around January 2024, but it's not anything definitive. It's not major news. It's just sort of a moment of relief for these New Jersey breweries while this legislation gets processed. And as we talked about before, alcohol laws in New Jersey are some of the most sort of archaic and conservative in the country.
Isn't there a rule that like they can't play like playoff baseball or something on TVs?
Something like that. Yeah, there's a restriction on what kind of sporting events they can play. There's all kinds of stuff. It's really...
Listen, New Jersey, I know you're pissed off that the New Jersey Nets are now the Brooklyn Nets, but it was years ago. You have to get over it. Jay-Z bought the team and he moved on, and you should too. You guys have the New Jersey Devils. They're an okay hockey team. They made the playoffs this year.
Get over it. Say so. Steven doesn't hockey.
Oh, that's right. Steven doesn't hockey, but they made it.
There's like limitations on how many quote unquote special events they can host. There's limitations on what they can do again with food vendors. There's definitely limitations on private parties, hosting off-premises events, and also just like direct to consumer and things like that we see in other states. Like there's just a limit. There's a heavy limit on what they're able to do. And Gabe and I know this pretty well and have for a number of years. So hopefully it gets a little more liberal in Phil Murphy's state. Phil, sign the bill, do the right thing, open the door for these small businesses to thrive.
Phil, sign the bill. Phil, sign the bill. I've got you guys covered.
Oh, God. Okay. And
let's finish the news and notes.
On a positive note.
Alert!
Got you covered. Yes. Yes. This is... We spend a lot of time in the news and notes talking about breweries closing.
You can say it. Breweries dying. It's fine.
Yeah. So this is exciting. It's a brewery in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City Mo. And it is Vine Street Brewing. It's the newest brewery in Kansas City, determined to, quote, bring the joy of craft beer to diverse communities. They opened June 30th, and they are Kansas City's very first Black-owned brewery, which deserves something. I'll give them a round of applause. Something that if you've been a listener, you will know that Gabe and I are definitely passionate about, and something that the brewery industry really desperately needs. So this is awesome. It's
4,800 square foot space, 2-story tap room, brew house, outdoor beer garden in the south end of the historic 18th and Vine Jazz District, which means one thing and one thing only. They're going to be playing some dope music all throughout, I can imagine. Very exciting. Very much looking forward to this. I don't know if we'll ever be able to get this beer, but maybe, just maybe, if we all work together, we can get them on the hop.
We'd love to at Kansas City trip, get some beer, get some BBQ. Just saying.
Go flip off Patrick Mahomes. I'm there, my man.
Oh, he hates the Chiefs.
I have to.
Founders are locals of Kansas City. Their names are Kemet Coleman, Elliot Ivory, and Woody Bonds Jr., and they persevered through a constantly changing landscape, through COVID and all that stuff, to finally get this dream off the ground. So it's exciting. We wish them well. We wish them the best. It's really cool to see. and hopefully they have all the success that the brewery industry has to offer. So, gents, welcome to the beer scene, and best of luck.
Welcome to our world.
All right, Gabe, you ready to take flight and go 0 Gs?
I'm ready to go 0 Gs. And now, Steven, where would you find zero gravity?
In space.
Correctamundo. Hit that track, baby. This is from our good friend, we don't know this person, Joe Maverick. It's a badass name.
He's a good friend.
2 Martians went on a blind date. They agreed to meet at 7:30. Dressed as harlequins, they looked like 2 twins. Them meeting was just down to fate. They sat down and ordered some beer, drank it up, and were soon full of cheer. They went to a star, which wasn't too far, and agreed Mars had no atmosphere. They decided to visit our Earth. Most Earthlings gave them a wide berth. A photo was taken, the image is making a fortune, just think of its worth. Both settled in the US of A, Martians' friends came on a holiday. Wearing such clever disguise, they look like regular guys. Area 51 is where they stay.
I don't know if the music matched the vibe, but I'm not worried about that.
I didn't.
I do have a question, which is simply, how did you find that? What'd you Google? What was the phrase you Googled that landed you at that perfectly outer space Martian beer related story you just told?
I Googled what any smart guy would Google. Poems about astronauts. And then when I couldn't find anything, I Googled poems about space. And here we are.
And you just happened to find one with beer involved?
Yes, and that is OG original. That was not me adding it in. I saw beer, I was like, boom, let's go.
And that is how we became the beer podcasting moguls that we are. We're gonna drink some beer now.
Woo!
It feels like it has been a time since Gabe and I shared a beer together. I don't know exactly the last time it happened. It may not have been that long ago, but to us, it feels very long ago, and I've had a lot going on. But we're going to start as a beer with a shared beer.
Hell yeah.
And it's one of the OGs. It's one of the core lineup, one of the 4. And it is the Little Wolf Pale Ale. This is a pale ale that is 4.7% ABV, which makes it very sessionable and crushable, very light pale ale. Its IBUs are at 34. That is low for anybody that's questioning that number. International Bitterness Unit, 34, pretty low on the bitterness unit. It has a Beer Advocate rating of 87 and an Untapped rating of 3.68. And in the glass, it is here in front of you. If you are on YouTube taking a look, if you are not, I would put it around a 7 or an 8. It's a golden amber color. It's fairly clear with a little bit of cloudiness, and it poured with a frothy white head that has some decent retention.
Looks like cream you put on top of like a cold brew.
Yeah. It looks like a lighter Guinness or something. It's got a nice little cap that retained very well. This is one of the core lineup, as I said. So they have kind of 4 that are their main core lineup beers. They have an IPA, a DIPA, a lager, and a pale ale. And this is the pale ale.
Wow, classic. Now. You can't get more classic than that.
And Gabe loves a wolf. I mean, if there's one thing Gabe loves,
love a good wolf. When we were living together, we called our apartment the Wolf Den.
We sure did. And
that went back to before we lived together in New York. That was when we were living together doing theater.
Yeah, that was that goes back a long ways. So Little Wolf in a glass in the form of a beer. We're very excited about it. From the brewery, I will mention that Little Wolf is a gluten-reduced beer. Hey, you gluten haters. This beer renders gluten levels below the FDA standard for gluten-free, meaning 20 parts per million. This beer could be a safe alternative for people with gluten sensitivities. And they do say that they test each and every batch of Little Wolf to ensure that it meets the standards. So if you are gluten sensitive, not gluten-free, but gluten sensitive, this beer could be safe for you.
What does that mean? Gluten sensitive?
It means if
you smell a piece of bread, you're gonna something's gonna happen.
Yes. It's like we've talked about before on the podcast that I have a nut allergy, right? I am not nut sensitive. I'm nut I will die. But some people are just they get a little itchy.
Something. Yeah. Okay. I guess I shouldn't make fun of allergies like that, but I don't know. Gluten sensitive just hits my ear wrong.
You know what? It's our podcast. Make fun of whatever you want.
Oh boy. Okay.
Gluten people, fight us. But also this beer is
but
good
also
for you.
Drink this. This goes back to the enemies thing. This is perfect.
Yeah, or if your enemies are gluten, never mind. I'm not going to say that. From the brewery, they say it is brewed with malted barley, oats, and American-grown hops, dry hopped with Mosaic. This small but feisty brew is fruity, floral, and refreshing.
So, full disclosure, I have been a little stuffy lately, so my nose isn't as strong as it normally is, but I am getting hops off of it right away. I am getting that subtle hoppy smell, not like an IPA or anything, but kind of classic to a pale ale. It's low in ABV. It's going to be low in, how strong it is and whatnot. So that makes sense and that checks out. What are you smelling? Because I'll try to find it.
Sure. So what I am smelling, and I will preface this by saying this might be tainted from the fact that I know that this is a gluten-free beer, but I will say that I've had some gluten-free beers before, and what I tend to find in those beers is that they compensate for whatever they had to take out of it with a heavy amount of fruitiness in the hop bouquet. And so this beer is very fruity on the nose. You get a lot of citrus, but you also get some stuff that's sweeter than citrus, peach, which might be a kind of citrus, but it's white peach, maybe a little bit of white grape. I will tell you that we do know, thanks to the brewery, thank you for this. We love when breweries do this. We do know the hop makeup of the beer. The hops in here are Horizon, Citra, Cascade, and Mosaic. The malt bill is pale Munich 2, oats, pale crystal, and they use their house yeast. So I get a lot of citrus. I get a lot of sweet citrus. I don't get a whole lot of hop piney bite necessarily. There's not a lot of dankness on it to me. And then on the hop side, they smell very sweet to me. It's this sort of sweet caramelized malts. The oats come through, a little bit of straw, and definitely some cereal or grains, something like that. Honeycomb.
I'm definitely getting a little bit of the sweetness, like you were saying. It's definitely there. It's definitely kind of hidden. So that checks out.
So let's dive in, see what we taste. Cheers, sharing a beer for the first time in a few weeks.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Let's take flight.
All right. So right off the bat, I am tasting a little bit of maltiness backbone. It's not bad. I am getting some hoppiness. It is rather easy to drink. It is pretty easy going down. The mouthfeel is nice. It's subtle. It's got a slight carbonation. It is a little bit on the softer side, I think. I think that might be just because of the head retention of the foam. But I'm getting a little bit of citrus. But again, I'm a little under the weather. So, what do you think, Steven?
Yeah, I think the sweet malts kind of hit up front. I think it's definitely got a sort of caramel thing to it. The malt bill is complex, so you definitely get a sweetness in the malts. I think it's ridiculously well balanced. That's worth saying. Like the mixture of hops and malt kind of is dancing really well together here. The hops are doing their thing. They are floral for sure. You get some lavender, you get some of what you got on the nose, a little bit of peach. It's citrusy, but not too citrusy. It's not overly juicy or anything like that. And it doesn't drink like a IPA because it doesn't have any bite. It's not super hop forward. It is a nice mix of the two. I will say there's a little bit more of the dank sort of bite, for lack of a better word, than you would expect from the nose. It definitely has a little bit of bite. It's got a lingering bitterness on the back end. That
little wolf will give you a nibble.
That little wolf will howl at the moon just slightly in the back of your palate. It's like you said, I think it's soft. I think it's somewhat. It's moderately carbonated. It's very drinkable, very crushable. I mean, 4.7% ABV. It is super easy drinking. And I just come back to the balance. It's one of those things when we talk about balance, we can mean that the beer doesn't overpower in any one way or another. But in this case, I'm just saying that it's not malt forward. It's not hop forward. It's a nice marriage of the two. I mean, if you had to get technical about it, it's probably hop forward, but at the end of the day, both are there, both are doing their jobs. You need both to sustain this. And I think it's a nice ride.
These beers from this brewery, because being on the East Coast, I see them in every beer shop I'm in, and I'm always like, oh yeah, there's that Wolf guy. Yeah, I'll see you later. I'll visit him later. And then their logo is this little hummingbird little guy that I love, and the hummingbird is on most of the cans. And I think it's not the Green State, it's the other one, not the other IPA they has the hummingbird like front and center, and it's just
it's called Conehead. Yes,
that's what it is. Yes, Conehead.
Having spent a good amount of time recently in this part of the country, I am very familiar with Zero Gravity. And yes, Conehead is their IPA. Their core four that they have year-round are the Green State Lager, which I've had all of these. The Green State Lager, which is very good. This pale ale, their IPA is called Conehead, and their DIPA, spoiler alert, is called the Madonna. So that's their core lineup.
Yeah, I think I've had I know I've had the Green State before. I've never had this before. I don't think I've had the other two. And also, spoiler alert, kind of not really. I have a different one that I've never even heard of. And I saw it and I was like, that sounds like fun. But yeah, the rest of these beers, I just see them everywhere. It makes sense for Vermont. But Zero Gravity is definitely a brewery that we know a little bit about and have heard about and know all about, what they do, and their beers are everywhere. So good on them.
And have visited. So Zero Gravity, the brewery was founded in 2004. It was founded by Matt Wilson, Paul Sayler, and Rob Downey. And it was originally based in a brew pub in downtown Burlington called American Flatbread. This is a pizza place on sort of the green in downtown Burlington that had pizza and beer that they were brewing in the place. But the brewery itself was Zero Gravity. And so Zero Gravity worked there for a long time. They have since expanded to a 30-barrel brew house, which is on Pine Street, that opened in 2015. This is what you can see behind me and behind Gabe. Gabe's outside, I'm inside. This is the tap room.
I'm outside, yeah. I'm loving this. I got Gabe's this quaint Gabe's little on the summer porch. Evening, yeah.
If you're checking us out on YouTube, and I'm inside, you can see the kind of the bar there and the tap room, and then Gabe's got this nice summer evening that they have outside it. They did since, and we talked about this when it happened, but in 2021, they took over the space formerly owned by Magic Hat. Magic Hat had a place that I'm forgetting what they used to call it. Some weird name that is escaping me. The Alchemist, something like it.
Yeah, they did. They it was the name of where they were, right?
Yeah, they called it. They had a name for it, but whatever it was, it's kind of on the outskirts of Burlington, and it's a giant space that Magic Hat used to brew out of and run a tap room out of. Magic Hat, now owned by a brewery in New York. They've moved all their operations to New York, so Zero Gravity took it over. I don't believe they have an open public tap room in that space at this moment, but maybe they will in the future. But that allowed them to just increase their capacity, and they've been at it. It's but the Pine Street Beer Hall, which is what Gabe and I are both at, is not closing at all. That's still fully in operation.
They've got beer, they've got food, they've got coffee, they've got waffles. What more could you need?
They have waffles, people. Mike,
Fuck yeah.
How do you feel about waffles?
Exclamation point!
Does he still have a job?
Does he still have a job? Steven,
ESPN, things got weird recently.
Yes, things did get weird recently. There were a bunch of layoffs. I was like, they got rid of who?
Yeah.
Mike Breen still has a job. Mike Breen actually just celebrated, I believe he is the longest announcer for the NBA Finals. Like, he did his 800th game or whatever it was. And so he's like the longest tenured announcer for the NBA and for the NBA Finals. His voice will go down in history. It's so iconic and it's just so great. So congrats to you, Mike.
And it certainly will go down in history on this podcast. So,
amen.
Mike, we love you, buddy. Glad to hear you're still employed. Not to make light of people losing their jobs, but that shit was crazy.
What Vermont beer from Zero Gravity would Mike Breen drink?
You know, I would say the Green State Lager. I feel like he's like an old school kind of lager type of dude, and the Green State Lager, if you know, for if you can't tell by the name, is different from the rest of their lineups because it is a lager and it's very similar to your kind of bigger beer options. So, my guess would be Mike's old school Pilsner type of dude, and I think the Green State Lager would make him happy.
Why do I get the feeling that he could secretly drink us under the table?
I mean, fucking gauntlet thrown. Like, Mike,
I don't know why. He seems like the nicest guy, but there's just something about him that he's like, oh, beer, I'll partake, and he just chugs it in one sip, and you're just sitting there with your eyes wide, is he a wizard? How did he
bring it on? Nothing would make us go viral faster.
Mike Breen, we're challenging you to a drink off. You heard it here first.
Okay. We can't move on from talking about the brewery without talking about their sustainability initiatives because it's a big part of what they do. And they have a hashtag and everything. Keep Vermont Green. So it feels like we need to mention this. The brewery is very highly focused on a lot of community and sustainability initiatives. They have said that they prioritize partnering with proactive environmental organizations as well as setting sustainable goals for their own business. They aim to not only bring people beer from the Green State, but to protect the landscape that serves as the background for the community. And they're always working to bring the environment to the forefront of their decisions. They are a member of 1% for the Planet. So that means that they donate 1% of sales. In their case, it's from their 12 packs of Green State Lager, as well as 1% of sales from all bottled beers, and they do that to environmental causes, and they switch them up all the time. So in the month of May, they were donating to, I will find it while Gabe lifts me up and talks.
You raise me up. It's amazing, and especially this is something that we see a lot of with Vermont breweries because of where they are in Vermont, and the environment plays such a big role, and it has so much to do with each brewery. And so for them to give back in a way is really awesome. Like Steven said, hashtag keep Vermont green. Let's keep it going. It's something that they've been doing for a while. And they're always working to keep the green state, as they say, green.
And the May thing is gone. They've updated the website. But July, the month of July, they're donating to the Bobolink Odyssey, which is a project that is a long-term life cycle study having to do with birds. Basically,
your favorite.
Oh, yeah, I love it. Basically, they're looking at nestlings of both two different species of bird. We don't need to get into it's sparrows and
Steven's
bobolinks.
Already disinterested. He's like, oh, these freaking birds. I don't care anymore.
Pictures, and basically they're tracking the lineage of these particular birds, and they're whatever. They're getting some money from Zero Gravity.
They're doing that thing where like they put a camera in the nest, and it's like, have the hatchlings like gotten bigger?
I guess they've got geolocators, they have other technology, and they're tracking their migratory patterns, their offspring, their annual survival, their dispersal in the landscape, mate selection, all that kind of stuff. And it's all gross because they're birds, but it's probably important, and we appreciate it. So anyway, 1% for the planet. Zero Gravity is donating. If you buy this beer, you are contributing to the health of birds, which is...
If you buy beer in bottles or the 12 packs of the Green State Lager, you are aiding in Steven's fear. So it's funny on my end of things. So if you want to make me laugh, you'll buy this beer.
This is a mixed message we're sending right now. But ultimately, I didn't expect this to go down a bird path, but the point is that they're doing good for the environment.
Yes.
And unfortunately, right now, that means helping birds. Gabe, do you want to move on to beer numero dos?
Not really. I want to talk about birds more. No, let's move on because we have much more to do. I am taking over, and I found this beer, and I said, that sounds fun. That sounds interesting. I've got the Frankie. It's a Frankie fruit ale. I have the original version. There are many other versions, including grapefruit radler, margarita style, and peach mango. I only found the original. I'm boring. Get away from me. All right, as I mentioned, it is a fruit ale. It is an ale made with fruit. It is 5.1%, 14 IBUs. Beer Advocate gave it an 85. Untapped gave it a 3.54. On the SRM chart, it depends on which version you have. Obviously, the margarita style is going to be a lot different color than this one. The original I have is a little hazy, a little cloudier than the last beer we had, but it's got like a pinkish reddish hue to it, which kind of gives off a rosé vibe, but it's still kind of orange. I'm going to give it like a 10 to 12-ish based off of the light and whatnot. It had a fun, pillowy head that is still there. It kind of looks like glass head retention, and it's just sitting there, and it looks like fun. I love when, as you said, I love when breweries do this. The malts, pale ale, pilsner, rolled oats, malted wheat. The hops, Citra, and a new one to the show, Moutier.
Moutier. We don't know how to say it.
Moutier.
It's Motuere. You figure out how to say that.
The yeast is house lager, and the fruit is tart cherry, red pomelo, and clemency.
The old clemency fruit. This is a citrus kind of fruit, apparently, that has wing-like appendages. Creepy. I don't like that. It looks like an orange, but it's a little greener, and it doesn't matter. The point is, it's citrus. So cherries, citrus, and pomelos, which everybody knows what those are, right, Gabe?
Yeah, totally.
Also citrus. Also citrus. It sort of looks like a pear on the outside, but it's citrusy on the inside. Mellow.
From the brewery, a bright and spritzy refresher brewed with tart cherries and citrus fruit. This beer is light on the palate and dry on the finish. We'll see about that. Bursting with bold citrus notes and subtle complexity of tart cherry. Frankie would be delighted to accompany you on all your summer adventures. Frankie has been such a summer favorite that we added some new friends to the mix, including the variety pack. The original tart cherry and citrus is joined by the 3 flavors I mentioned earlier. Margarita style, grapefruit radler, peach mango. I would like the peach mango. I'm going to sniff.
So this is one for the sour. So this brewery, we mentioned the core lineup that they have, but they do have regular, new beers that they introduce to the lineup, and they constantly are switching things up. So this is more of a sour, more of a tart. They call it a fruit ale, but it'll be interesting to see just how sour it is, just how tart it is for Gabriel, and his nose is on the bench at the moment, so we'll see what he's able to pull out of it. What are you getting there, Gabe?
Not much. My bench. My nose is not doing well. I'll read you. I decided to kind of meet y'all halfway and then found some reviews and what other people were smelling. Fruity and fresh, citrus, sweet, orange rind, lemon peel, light clove, crackery malt. I am getting a little citrus. How could I not? But what I can smell based off of my nose, I am getting a little bit of that citrus, classic citrus smell to it. So let's see how fruity and or sour it is. Cheers, y'all.
Let's see. And what I'm most interested in, to be honest, and what you don't really need your nose to nail down, is how tart it is and how much of a sour it really is, because it could go a lot of ways on that. And the fact that they don't refer to it as a sour makes me wonder if it's a little bit less sort of tart and puckering than we might think some of the other kettle soured beers are, but we will see what we get out of that. It might be more in the vein of just an ale with some fruit added, which is something like Sam Adams has one of those. It might be more in that world. So we'll see what your taste buds detect.
So this is interesting. It is not as tart as normal sours. However, there is a slight fruity tartness that bids an ode to sours. You know what I mean? It gives it gives a nod to sours while not being that puckering. It's fruity. It's another easy eater drinker. It's a little more toned down than I thought it would be, which is okay. The fruity flavor is there. It's got a light carbonation. It does finish dry, which I was expecting that. It does finish dry. It is spritzy though. It's like I would you know what? I'm gonna say it. I would love this in a cocktail. You know?
Sure, yeah. Would you like it aged in a barrel?
I'll age anything in a barrel.
Mike, you've been called to action!
Exclamation point!
Mike, you gotta work because apparently you don't have a job or some shit. Whatever.
It's not. If somebody just gave this to you blind taste test, would you be like, "Oh, that's a sour beer," or would you be like, "Oh, that's a fruity beer"?
Fruity. I would say It's a fruity, little bit of tartness, little bit of funkiness, but I wouldn't say "Oh, that is a sour." I would say this is a fruity beer. It's probably a fruit ale, and I would be right because I would be. But it's good. I mean, you do get a little hint of that cherry off the taste. I would assume that on a good day I'd be tasting a lot more. But for now, spritzy, refreshing, dry, summer beer. This would go well with lawn chair. You're listening to music. Maybe you're lighting off some fireworks. I don't know. But this would be a good like day drinking beer. And you got to be careful with that because day drinking makes me sleepy and then I just want to pass out. But this would be like a nice little barbecue maybe. It won't ruin the meal for you and vice versa, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, the Frankie.
All right, I'm going to take it back to the core lineup. I'm going to bring us home here with what time we have remaining, and I'm doing their Madonna.
The Madonna.
Diaper. Yes, Madonna. That like the 80s pop star Madonna. It's their diaper. It is 8% ABV. The IBUs are at 90. We'll circle back to that. Beer Advocate has it at 91. Untapped has it at 3.92. It is described by the brewery as a generously hopped Vermont double IPA made with Pilsner malt and American wheat, balanced, bright, and highly satisfying. The malt in here is Pilsner American wheat. The hops are Citra, Motica, and El Dorado. The Magnificent. Yes, I did just quote the movie. No, I'm not getting anything from you on the Road to El Dorado quote. That's.
Oh, I missed that one. Uh-oh.
That's sad for you. Truly.
Yeah. I'll put it on the list. I'm sorry.
That movie's. You've never seen it?
No, I haven't actually.
Dude, animated movie. You got Rosie Perez. You got Kevin Kline. You got Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, Mr. Shakespeare.
Yes. It's a DreamWorks. It doesn't matter.
When we have time, I'll talk about another movie I saw last evening, actually. But continue.
Okay. Point is, this beer. All right, let's circle back to the IBUs.
Let's go.
IBUs, International Bitterness Unit. We've talked about this before. What I like to tell people is, if the IBUs align with the ABV, and what I mean by that is, if your beer is 6% ABV and the IBUs are 60, you have a balanced beer. If you have less than that, so the beer is 6%, but the IBUs are at 45, you're probably looking at more of a New England IPA. You're probably looking at something more juicy. In this case, the ABV is at 8%. The IBUs are at 90. That is high. And that means this is going to be bitter and biting. And so when they call it a Vermont DIPA, what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, in Steven's estimation, is a West Coast IPA.
Let's go.
And there we go.
Touchdown! Unbelievable!
So we'll see if it follows through on the nose, but that's what I'm getting off of the information I've been giving. I'm drinking out of a tulip glass. SRM
he drinks
chart.
it and it tastes like a sour.
Let me turn it around so that other beer is not named. It is probably around an 8 or a 9. It's very golden. It looks very similar in color to the last beer I drank. It is definitely cloudy. I can't exactly see through it. But it's not hazy. I would not qualify this as hazy. It does have a clearness to it. It poured with about a thumbnail of sort of very creamy ivory foam. You got some sticky lacing along the side. I'm excited to get into it. And then the nose, you get the citrus quality. It's got some florality to it. It's got some lavender, some lemongrass, but it's definitely got that sweetness that I associate, as opposed to the pale ale, which was sweet in terms of the malt. This is sweet in terms of the hops and the stickiness of the hops and the dankness of the hops. There's a pininess to it, and that brings bitter, but it also brings sweet at the same time in a certain kind of way, in a way that if you have smelled it, you know it.
Right. Okay.
I don't get a lot of malt or anything on it, but I do get some booze. There's a little bit of like, especially compared to the pale ale, there's a little bit of like, oh, this is 8% ABV. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you could tell right away.
Yeah. So we're pressed for time, and I'm just going to drink it. Cheers.
Amen. Get in there. Generously hopped Vermont double made with Pilsner malt and American wheat. Balanced, bright, and highly satisfying. This is another one. I see it all the time. I know it's popular. I know people like it. I wish I had access to it. I literally had access to all the other core lineups and the Frankie I had. So I pivoted in a different direction, but this one, it got a 91 on Beer Advocate. It's probably good.
It's very good. It's sweet. It's definitely sweet in terms of, and I don't mean overly sweet, but I mean like it's got that sweetness that you would expect from a high ABV double IPA. It's got a good bit of bite to it, but the first thing that hits your palate is sweet. It's citrus. It's lemony citrus. Orange peel, grapefruit, all of those kinds of things. There's a little bit of earthiness and florality in the back side of that. It is not juicy. I would not qualify this as a New England IPA, but those citrusy hops lead the way. They overtake the malts. You're not getting a lot of biscuit or straw or hay or anything like that. It's just very...
Remember to breathe.
It's very... sweet and powerful, and in the mouthfeel wise, it's got a lot of bite to it. It is boozy, well carbonated. Would I call it dry? Maybe on the finish, but it has this lingering sort of spiciness behind it. It makes you want another sip of it. It is very good. And very West Coast. Again, this is
nice.
Not your juicy New England. It's very... They call it a Vermont double IPA, but the reality is it's very... it's got a bite to it, which
call it what
makes
you
it
want,
a West Coast.
But yeah. Does it make you want to sing Madonna? Don't answer incorrectly, Stephen.
Yes, of course. I don't know that I need the beer for that, but you know what?
Now we're talking. All right.
Listen, this beer makes me feel like a material girl, and I'm in a material world, and that's.
Aren't we all, bro?
All right. Time is quickly passing us by, which means it's time for Bob Ross to get his time in the spotlight. Bob, let us know how you feel about the artwork. He's been called up for action.
Called up from the minor leagues to the show. He's in the show.
Let's get this bread.
Can Art and Crafts.
Bobbert Huntington, Vermont Ross IV is here. He's ready. Let's get a move on. As always, we're going in order. Can Arts and Crafts. The Little Wolf. Ow! Little Wolf, nice blue can, gold lettering. The wolf is blue and red, but the design is this like specific type of art form that it's like blocky and lines throughout, and it's very artistic. It's very different, but it's very cool. This can is getting brownie points because, like I said, every time I go into a beer shop in the city, in Brooklyn, wherever, East Coast, I see this beer. I know this beer. I love this beer. I'm going to do my Frankie. My Frankie's one is very floral and fun, and it looks like there's like paint everywhere, and it's got a picture of a lemon with some cherries. It says Frankie, and it's just fun, bright, colorful letters. The green screen is affecting some of that, but that is okay. And then the Madonna. Now, hear me out for all you sports people. The Madonna is fun because it reminds me of like a throwback jersey that a team would wear to represent the city. Like, you know how shout out Denver Nuggets, they won the championship. You know how the Denver Nuggets, you know how the Denver Nuggets sometimes wear those throwback jerseys and it's like got a rainbow in the title and it's like very like 70s kind of theme to it. That's kind of what I'm getting off the Madonna, and it's just fun and it's different. And there's a square that kind of looks like resembles a TV, and I'm into that. I don't really know why. And I like that IPA. It's IIPA. It's not DIPA. It's IIPA. It looks like a fun 70s throwback. So that one's getting a 9. Little Wolf's getting an 8.7, and Frankie's getting an 8.4. They're all great. They're all wonderful. Bob Ross is here. Oh, Lord. Bob Ross agrees. Bob Ross loves Vermont. He goes skiing all the time. He falls a lot, but it doesn't matter because he's Bob Ross. And that is another great edition of Can Arts and Crafts.
And just to quickly discuss what is on tap, if you go to visit the brewery, they have their core lineup again: the Green State Lager, the Little Wolf Pale Ale, the Kona, the Madonna. They have a sour called Pineapple Vibes. They have a couple of IPAs, a Mexican Lager, an Imperial IPA. Very IPA heavy, but they are constantly switching things up in terms of their seasonal offerings and in terms of their, different stuff, what's available. They've got stouts from time to time. They've got they have a sour red ale called Funky Town. Excuse me. IPA with guava, Russian Imperial Stout. on brand for the episode. Yeah. Tart German wheat ale at 3.2%. So they're always mixing things up, plenty to offer. And as Gabe mentioned at the top, food too, coffee and waffles.
Oh, say less, honestly. So, I love me a good waffle. I prefer pancakes. Well, go somewhere else because
why?
Yeah, waffles where it's at. They're flaky and they're delicious.
If you find yourself in Burley, Vermont, this is a good one to visit. There's so many to visit, but this is definitely a good one.
Oh yeah.
We are running out of time. Thank you, Zero Gravity.
As always, we're running out of time.
It's time for last call.
Last call.
You may have LeBron James. You may have Tom Brady. You may have Mike Piazza, Derek Jeter, David Ortiz. Why not? You may have these superstars, Wayne Gretzky. But we have Joey Chestnut. It's about time we finally give the man his due. 4th of July just happened, and what happens on every year in 4th of July? We light a bunch of shit on fire. We hang out with family members that sometimes we don't want to hang out with. We go to the beach and we get sunburn, and Joey Chestnut dominates in the hot dog eating competition. This year, oh my God, he ate 62 hot dogs and buns. I recently learned that it's a rule. You have to eat the bun as well, which is why they dip it in water, because I guess it helps. But he ate 62 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes. That's what blows my mind. This man, every year, shows up and just eats hot dogs forever. But it's over the course of 10 minutes. There was a rain delay. So the best part of this article is hearing Joey Chestnut talk about the fact that, all of the athletes, quote unquote, were a little bit rattled because of the rain delay. So they all had to get their heads right. And the reason he didn't eat more hot dogs was because of the rain delay threw him off, which I find very hysterical because you're there to eat. Obviously, you need to prepare. Obviously, you need to get your head right. But it's not like Game 7 of the NBA Finals, my guy. You're there to eat some hot dogs. And with the way he eats and the way he's done it in the past, he can do it easily. He has clinched his 16th title. He has not lost this competition since 2015. Thoughts?
Yeah. Joey Chestnut this is old news at this point because we are a few weeks after this happened. What my thoughts are simply that if you Google this man, he's not overweight. And I don't understand that.
Yeah,
that's my thought. I don't watch this. I don't partake in this. This is not the only thing he does. He's also done ice cream eating competitions. He's done wing eating competitions. He's a competitive eater. This is a sport that he competes in, and every year he does this, and it's crazy to me. I don't get it, but. Somehow he seems to be healthy as a dude. If you look at him, So I don't know. Who knows the long-term damage? That's all I think of. I don't think of the sporting feat.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think of, my first thought is, who the hell one day woke up and said, you know what would be really fun? What if we just put a 10-minute timer on the clock? Let's see how many hot dogs or how much X, Y, and Z we can eat in that allotted time. And whoever wins the most gets a belt that they can't fit around their stomach and bragging rights. And I'm assuming he wins money every year. He's got to.
Well, what I love is that it probably started as like bro, how many hot dogs do you think you can eat? Like with ketchup and mustard, and it was just a normal backyard event. And now it's turned into like a competitive, like, dunk it in water, shove it in your face, like, situation that is just like, it's grotesque to watch. It's very American. This is the most American thing I can ever think of. And it's kind of like just looking at this, like, picture of American gluttony. I don't know. I don't want to rain on it. It's just like you look at it and you're like,
no, you can. It's fine.
This is why the world hates us. And you know, they're not wrong. I mean, there's yeah.
Here's a fun quote. So he talks about how he doesn't like to watch competitors or the people. I guess the women went first and then the men went second. We should talk about who won in the women's. Miki Sudo forced down 39.5 hot dogs and buns to collect her 9th mustard belt. Way to go, Miki Sudo. Good for you. But I guess Joey Chestnut was like watching her before or whatever, and he says, watching her, I fumbled my hands. Steven's going to love this. I got stuck with a big burp early on, but was able to correct. They're talking like they're playing like in front of millions and thousands and millions of people. Like, guy, what channel is this even on?
ESPN, dude. It's on ESPN. You can watch this. What were you watching on the 4th of July? Because I'll be honest,
the beach.
Nothing. Nothing. I was cooking. Like there was the grill was fired.
Yes.
I was drinking. I wasn't watching sports. But you can watch this on ESPN. But it's crazy. Good for him, I guess. It's kind of like, and this won't mean anything to you, Gabe, but like we're at a point in Formula One right now where like it's always the same winner every year. Like it's always or every race, it's the same guy every single time.
Max Verstappen. I know names. I know Max.
And it's like an eye roll. You just get to the end of the race and you're like, it's just boring. Like he just leads the whole time. Yeah. So I need somebody to unseat Joey Chestnut. And that'll be when I get excited and start paying attention. Or if they make a Netflix documentary about this, then I'll...
Oh, they have to. I'll be tuned in. Because I'm genuinely interested in how you train for this, why you want to do this, how you do this, what you're doing in the moment. Do you eat in the morning? Do you not eat the night before? Like, how does it all work?
And somebody's got to be, if they make that documentary, they have to be at the doctor's appointments. Because, like, if you watch the movie Super Size Me, where the guy ate McDonald's for 30 days, like, his doctors are like,
stop.
I would advise you to stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so I need to be at the doctor's appointment where the physician's like, Joey, I can't ask you enough to please stop doing this once a year. Like, you seem healthy, but, like, something's gonna burst. And we don't know what it is.
He must eat one piece of lettuce every day from July 5th until the next July 4th. He probably doesn't eat anything. Well, let me ask you, 10 minutes are on the clock. How many hot dogs can you put down?
How much money is on the line? That's the primary question. And even then, it's not 68. But I mean, what's the?
I don't know. I don't know how much money they get for this. Let's say $10K.
For $10K, I mean, I would do my level best. I would definitely, but I feel like for 10 minutes, I think I could get like 15 or 20. I mean, I feel like
wow.
I'm thinking like 30 seconds per dog. And I think I would just go into a blind state of like, I'm not feeling how my body's feeling.
No, I think that's what he does too. I think it's just like money. Think of the money. Think of the prize. Think of, I'll be in pain later.
So I'm thinking like 30 seconds per dog, which would put me around 20 dogs. But that's probably lofty.
Wow.
I mean, just given the number.
Well,
what would you have said?
For myself, I would have said like 9, 10. I don't know. Like,
I'm just thinking like you don't enjoy, you don't chew, you just like swallow, shove, swallow. Like you don't. I would be in competitive. I'm a competitive person, so I feel like I would want to win, but I'm not doing 62. I can tell you that right now.
No, God, no. This would be. I would have to pick and choose this carefully. I could never enter a wing eating contest because I feel like afterward I would never want to look at wings again, and that would make me sad. Hot dogs, I would never want to look at a hot dog again, and at that point I'd probably be like, you know.
Yeah, wings is a problem too because you have to. They're on a bone. You got to eat it.
Yeah.
Ice cream's a problem because you got brain freeze. Hot dogs, I feel like I could shove and move on, but I don't know, and I got to be honest with you, I'm not gonna ever try. So
if you want to see the hot guys enter a wing eating contest, like, comment, and subscribe, man.
All right, we need to get out of here. Joey Chestnut, good for you. Congrats on your accomplishment. Zero Gravity, thank you for everything. The next time
Thank you, Zero Gravity.
The next time you hear from us, I will have seen both Barbie and Oppenheimer. So we'll be able to talk about that. And I hope you have your tickets and are excited to talk about that with us. Until then, we are out of here. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you for everything.
Peace out, fam.
Like, comment, subscribe.